Hi, everybody. Mark here with Couch to Camino 2026. I apologize if you hear a bunch of noise today. The guys are hanging the roof on our house today. So there's a lot of big machines. There's a lot of backup beepers. There's a lot of shouting. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. It's not a SWAT team about to come through the door. But I don't know. We live an interesting life out here. Who knows? Um, Today I'm drinking coffee. We'll get to my favorite thing here in a little bit. So we're at day 130. This is episode, I think, 18, something like that. Yeah, day 130. It's like I keep saying, it's going fast. It's going to really accelerate through the holidays. So we're well over 500 subscribers now, which I just find bizarre. YouTube's a weird place. I figured we would cap out at about 50. So we got 500 and something. I'm kind of thinking maybe if we can get 1,000 after first of the year or so, maybe we'll do a live question and answer. That seems to be a thing here on the YouTubes. Or if I can't figure out how to gracefully do a live thing between my sort of cobbled together technology here, maybe we'll just do I'll have you guys email me some questions and then we'll just answer whatever, no topic, just whatever you want to ask. Speaking of topic, what are we talking about today? Backpack organization. Why are we worrying about that? I'm going to explain it here in just a couple of minutes. But as always, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments or email me at askmeacaminoquestion@gmail.com and I'll get back to you. So, we do have a TLDL for this week. We'll get to it really quick. So, let's just start. The TLDL. Backpack organization. Why is it so important? Why am I bothering to waste your time with it? Basically, it comes down to the Camino. If you're not used to this sort of trip, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot of changes by the minute that happens. The more predictable you can make one part of your experience, the easier all of the weird flexy bits are going to be later. How do we do that? Just one little way is organizing our backpack and how we're doing things. So, number one, in your backpack, have a place for everything and make sure everything is in its place. Why? And in the ramble, we'll go into this a little deeper. But if I know that in my, quote, arrival bag, which I've shown you before, I have my phone charger, I have my cables, I have my sleep sack, sleep system, whatever I'm using at the time, my earplugs, whatever else. If I pick up that little pouch and it's too light, I know I've forgotten my charger. The charger goes in the bag gets sealed up. I know there it is. By having a predictable set area for different items, it prevents losing things. You're going to run into something along the Camino that I like to call the backwards pilgrim. Now, some people walk the Camino backwards. Yeah, that is a thing. But you'll encounter people, usually it's within a kilometer or two, maybe a little more, that are walking backwards, looking not happy. It's 99% of the time because they forgot something in the albergue and they're going back to get it. If your organization scheme makes sure that everything has a predictable place, it really cuts down on that. Secondly, quick access. If your backpack is just filled with all of your clothes, all of your stuff jumbled up together, when you show up to the albergue, you get your bed assigned, you get to your bed, you do not put your backpack on the bed. We've talked about that because nobody wants, sheep poop in the first half and cow poop in the second half, and you are going to get poop dust all over your backpack. It's a thing. Don't put that on the bed. You're trying to find your shower stuff, your little travel towel, your soaps, your clothes you're going to put on. It's in a jumble in the bottom of your backpack. And by the time you get your stuff, the line to the shower has gone from 5 people to 25 people. Giant pain in the butt. If you have your stuff arranged how I'm going to show you, You show up, you pop a couple of bags out, you walk right to the shower. Simplifies everything. You're not expending that mental capital trying to find a bunch of junk in your backpack. It just makes it so much easier. Now, if we start on the outside of the backpack and work our way in, and in the ramble, I've got my chosen pack, I think for the April, unless something weird happens. I've got that pack. We'll go through how I've got it organized to show you a little bit about this. But starting on the outside, your backpack, unless you get something really unusual from Evolved Equipment, Atom Packs, Hilltop, any of the big ultralight companies, you're going to have exterior storage. You're going to have pouches on the sides, probably a big pouch on the front, maybe a top cap, and belt pouches. Those are where you want to store things like your rain gear, your first aid kit, your boo-boo kit, because as we talked about in the first aid episode, really you're carrying boo-boo kits, not a full first aid kit. Snacks, eye drops, your toilet kit, your toilet paper kit, bathroom kit. And weirdly, I think probably after first of the year, we're going to do a whole episode on going to the bathroom. That's going to be showers and bathrooms and what to expect and how to deal with stuff. That'll be a weirdly fun episode. That came out wrong. So make sure that the things you need quickly are on the outside. That seems like common sense, but I've run into pilgrims where we've got a rain squall coming in and they're digging through their backpack for their rain jackets and their backpack covers. And I just offhand said, hey, you okay? Everything going all right? They're like, yeah, I'm getting my rain stuff. And I just said, why is it in the bottom of your pack? And their logic was, I don't use it that often, so I just throw it in the bottom of my pack. I see where they're coming from. But as I said in the rain gear episode, I like to be able to get into my rain gear in under 2 minutes. 90 seconds to 2 minutes is my goal. If it's all weirdly packed away, giant pain in the butt. So make that stuff easier on yourself. Your little snacks, candies, eye drops, put those in your belt pouches. So when you need them, you just reach down and grab them. There they are. You don't want to have to take off your pack to get a piece of gum or something. It happens. The other weird thing to keep in your backpack or your belt pouches, and we're going to talk about this in a couple weeks. I'm going to do some changing. We'll talk about that in a bit. Changing of the schedule. Tips for your hiking poles. You want to keep an extra set of those in one of your belt pouches because you're going to lose them. It happens to almost everybody on almost every Camino. I go through the darn things like candy. And usually it's because when you're walking through a city or over a bridge, you have your tip on to prevent damage to the concrete or the sidewalks or the wooden bridge or whatever, and they get caught in a crevice or a gap in the boards or whatever, and you pull it up and it drops down into the water below. It's happened to me. Weirdly, on the way into Viana, I've lost multiple pole tips to the point where the last 2 times I went, I just didn't put my poles down on this one notorious bridge, which eventually there won't be a bridge because there'll just be this giant pile of my hiking pole tips. So yeah, just have all that stuff readily available, quick to go, so you don't have to fight your backpack to get to that stuff. So if you have a stripped down backpack like the one I'm going to show you, how do we add on extra organization and storage? You can get things like, let's start at the belt line and work our way up. If your backpack has a couple of belt pouches, they work great for you, but you want a little extra, you can go online, go onto Amazon and look for add-on. These are just little Velcro loop on the back. These are little add-on belt pouches. You just thread the belt through it. They work great. You can add things like mini bungee cords, and I'll show you how I'm using them on my backpack. This is just a little mini bungee that has a spring barrel on it to lock it into place. These make great storage options for hiking poles or coats or umbrellas, any of that stuff. These add a lot of flexibility. You just hook these around various loops or straps on your backpack. Works really nice. I get these on Amazon. They come in a bag of I don't know, a dozen of them in various sizes and various colors, and they work fantastic. Twist ties. There's a company called Night Eyes, makes these little gear ties. I got the box of black ones, and I realized they don't show up really well, so I grabbed one of my orange ones. These are like a giant bread tie that you can thread through the webbing in your backpack, secure whatever, give them a couple of twists, and they stay really well. I use these for the smaller versions of these for things like holding down the hydration tube on my water system. I've also used them for like when I'm carrying on my backpack, and I'll show you again in the ramble. I'll show you how my backpack is. I carry my my pullover through the top of the backpack. If I'm going to go on a train, plane, an automobile, great John Candy movie, I'll wrap one of these around as extra insurance to make sure as I'm going through a crowd I don't lose something. But these you can find at hardware stores. Here in the U.S., most hardware stores have these Night Eyes displays, especially like Home Depot, Lowe's, and True Value and Ace or True Value. These are great, inexpensive. They work really well. The cheapest version of that is a packet of zip ties. You can do a lot with zip ties on your backpack. You can zip them part way, clip the tail off, and use it as just a little hanging hook. They work well. I used to use them for my hydration tubes, but they got a little, how do I put it? They get a little brittle in the sun, and sometimes they would break on me. So I've kind of gone away from that. But if you're on a budget, don't spend money on the silly twisty ties and the bungees. You know, a few of those will work just well. Just don't ever cinch them down all the way, or suddenly, you know, you can't use them anymore. You can cinch them to the size you need if you're just using them as a storage loop or some sort, and then just put a little tape around them or melt them a little bit with a lighter, and they'll lock in place. They work pretty good. Other alternative, probably should have been before the zip ties, were these little guys. This is just a carabiner. These are inexpensive little aluminum carabiners. You can get them at the hardware stores. You can get them online. I think I got these at Home Depot. But these work great. I clip these all over my backpacks, mainly because I like to hang, if I got some wet socks or something, it's nice just to have something I can hang off the backpack to drop stuff off of. The big one, my absolute favorite on a backpack. I have used one of these since 2017. It is a game changer for backpacks. And for some reason, a lot of long distance hikers just don't use them, and I don't get why. There's something in there. Oh, this is a chalk bag, a rock climber's chalk bag. This one's kind of cool. It has extra little zipper pouches and stuff on it. It's got a couple of little loops, and usually a rock climber will clip this onto their climbing belt, and they put a ball or a sack full of chalk. We use it, same chalk in the gym. Dries your paws out, makes it easier to grip things. I love these on a backpack. I will take I'll take a carabiner, clip it through the little loops, and I clip this assembly to the left downhaul of my backpack, where your yoke comes over the shoulder. Yoke comes over the shoulder, goes down to the waist belt. I hook this onto that. It slides up and down, and I've got a little storage option for whatever I need. And this bag and the other one that's on my backpack. So this is big enough that I can put my gloves in here, my little lightweight merino wool or tech gloves. I can put my gloves in here, and I have enough room for a couple of apples, because I like to eat a half an apple about every 90 minutes to keep my blood sugar up while I'm walking. So I don't have to and honestly, if you're lucky enough that you can reach the side pouches on your backpack, I'm jealous. I have little Tyrannosaurus arms. I can't do that. So this, being able to slide it up, grab an apple, cut it in half, throw the half apple back and forth, let it slide back down. It's perfect. I love these things. And the chalk bags are great because rock climbers don't want to get this stuff wet. You pull the little cord, whoop, it closes the top. So if you do get a little bit of rain, it will keep most of the rain out. I wouldn't keep anything really sensitive in one of these. But go on to Amazon or go to any of your outdoor sporting goods stores. You're going to be able to find a rock bag or a chalk bag, rock climbing chalk bag that's going to work great. Like I said, I like this one because it's got little extra pouches. The wind gloves, the wind mittens that I showed you in the rain gear episode fits in there. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of Tylenol or something in one of the extra little pouches. But seriously, get one of these. If you get nothing else from this episode, get a chalk bag, attach it to somewhere on one of the downhauls, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, whatever. Try it out. They're really fantastic. Primo. No notes. I'm going down my list here. So let's talk about the inside of the backpack. The backpack I'm using, the Flash 50, has no organization inside with the exception of the hydration sleeve. And the hydration sleeve, I just stuff things in to basically keep them out of the way. It's the stuff I'm not going to use very often. It's not the best option because they do tend to slide around a little bit, but it works. So inside the backpack, how do I organize? We've gone through these before when we talked about the water in our rain episode, the rain episode. You can start with something as simple as a Ziploc. You can just throw your stuff in a Ziploc, throw it in there. It'll keep everything separated. You know, you don't want your clothes and your tech and everything else kind of jumbling around. Oh, coffee. So up from there, you can get from, I don't think I've shown these before. So this is just a gear bag. These are super cheap. These come in 3 packs. You can get them online. They're like Outdoor Research or something, or I can't remember what the other big name is. You can get these 3 or 4 packs at Walmart. They come in different sizes. I use a bright yellow one sometimes for my sandals, depending on which backpack I'm using. These work fine. They're not waterproof, but they roll down, they clip. They're a good organization tool. And I think a set of 4 of them is like under $20. So not as cheap as a Ziploc, but not as expensive as these Dyneema dry bags, which again, if you're not going to do any more hiking after the Camino, or you're not sure, don't buy these things. These run about $25 each. They are completely waterproof. They're fantastic, but they're overkill if you're not going to use them again. So don't do these. The other option for organization, and we talked about in the health episode, my medications that I use, I pack in individual Ziplocs, then in larger Ziplocs. I separate them out week by week, and then I vacuum seal them in a large vacuum seal bag that's cut to size. If you have things that you need periodically or an emergency item that you don't want to take any chance of getting wet, that hopefully you don't need, or like my drugs, for my upcoming Camino, I'll take 2 of these, maybe 1 of these. I don't know. Depends on how much I'm taking. But basically, I don't have to get into them. It keeps them waterproof. If you have a vacuum sealer, play around with this. When I used to do a lot of camping, I would take a vacuum seal bag and I would put an extra pair of underwear, socks, shorts, and a t-shirt in there, vacuum seal them, and I threw it in the back of my pickup. So no matter how bad the weather got, I had clean clothes inside my pickup. I know it sounds weird, but it was nice to be able to grab it and go back to the tent if I needed to. So anyway, if you have one of these or you know somebody, consider using these. They're fairly inexpensive and they're rock solid. They work really well. So again, the whole point of organizing your backpack is quick access. It's organizing your stuff so you know where it's at. It really cuts down on the amount of stuff you lose. If you know that looking at your pack, or you pick up a dry bag and it doesn't feel right, it's rolled down too easily, there's space in there that there shouldn't be space, it makes it easier to realize you've forgotten something. You need to look around, sterilize your area, make sure you've got all of your stuff. The one thing I would add to that is, now I haven't done it on these bags because I kind of forgot, is take a Sharpie, write your name, write an email address and your phone number with the country code. If you're from the US, it's +1, then your area code, then your number. Write your names and your email address on these things. So if you were to happen to leave an entire bag of stuff at an albergue, it's got your contact info on it, and hopefully somebody will get a hold of you. Just little things like that make the Camino a whole lot easier. So that's the TLDL. I'm trying to keep this one a little shorter this week, but obviously I failed because we're already over 20 minutes. So that's it for this week. We're going to go on to the ramble. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things, and then we'll go to the ramble for a little bit. So next week, I was going to talk about trekking poles or something else. I've gotten a couple of questions in the comments, and some people have emailing to ask, hey, this all sounds great. Are you going to do an episode on how to get to Spain? Or how to get to the starting point of whatever Camino you're going to do? So I think we're going to do that next week. We'll go ahead and change the schedule around. We'll get out of the gear stuff, since I think you've got a good enough idea of what to start looking for in the shopping season. And somebody in the comments last week after Backpack said they went to REI, got one of their an Osprey pack, and I think she said it was like 20 or 30% off. And I got my REI catalog. REI's having a big sale. I'm betting that Shields, Academy, Bass Pro, they're all starting. So you need to gear up. Now's the time to gear up. And please, if you're a new subscriber, go back and watch the other gear videos. These are all intertwined. I'm not a professional at this. I'm barely functional most times. Make sure you go through the gear lists, because a lot of times it's not about what exactly you should buy, but what you should consider buying and what order to buy them in. And man, that's important. So anyway, for those of you who usually take off after the TLDL, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week, and we'll talk about getting to your Camino. Thanks. So the ramble. Hi, everybody. So my favorite thing this week, besides delicious coffee with Colacao in it, and it's the Colacao Noir, which you can occasionally find on Amazon. It's a dark, almost baking chocolate version of the Colacao, just in coffee. But that's not my favorite thing. So my favorite thing, and I got this out of the freezer just about a half an hour ago. As you can see, it's still early in the morning, so didn't have time to thaw this. But this is chorizo, Spanish chorizo. Look, even has a little Spanish flag on it. You may be saying, hey, yeah, whatever, chorizo. But if you are used to chorizo in the U.S., that is, you get at Mexican restaurants, it's a crumbly, let's be honest, sorry, abuela, it's a little bit greasy. You know, they scramble it with eggs. You can get it on tacos. It's kind of a crumbled meat, spicy meat. Spanish chorizo is essentially a slightly fermented, cured, dried pork sausage that has a wee bit of garlic and quite a bit of sweet and smoked paprika in it. So it's hard. Think of salami or a hard sausage. You can get it on sandwiches, bocadillo, and after the first of the year, when we do our big food episodes, we're going to run into the bocadillos, and I'll be slicing some of this up to make bocadillos for you. We'll do a live cooking show kind of thing. It should be kind of fun, probably over in our canning kitchen. So they'll put it on a bocadillo for you. You can get it with eggs in the morning sometimes, or strangely, scrambled eggs are a popular appetizer for lunch and dinner. By the way, my retirement plan, if things ever went south, is I'm going to move to Spain and I'm just going to get a job translating the words scrambled eggs for the Spanish, because they use whatever off the internet. You will see scrambled eggs listed on menus as scrumbled eggs, scrimbled eggs, my favorite, world eggs, abused eggs, and the very disturbing molested eggs. So branch out into different types of scrumbled and scribbled and abused eggs if you want. But they'll slice this up into little medallions. It goes into the scrambled eggs. It's really good. And also, when you get into certain areas, they'll use the chorizo as a flavoring, big chunks of it in soups and stews, which is fantastic. There's a bunch of, when you get to like the Meseta West, you'll see it in a lot of white bean soups and such. I'm not going to say it's in the Galician soup that's famous, because I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, really, it's good stuff. Please try it. A chorizo and cheese, chorizo con queso, bocadillo, fantastic lunch on when you're walking. Just glorious. And it's usually chorizo and a manchego on a nice little bit of bread. Super stuff. So it's something different. It's the same word for as the Mexican stuff, but an absolutely different thing. So give it a try. So let's talk about the organization stuff. I think I'm going to skip over most of what I talked about in the TLDL and just get down to my backpack that's sitting down here, mainly because there's some extra organization stuff that those people that have already left, it's just for you. Yeah, I kind of covered all the other stuff. And seriously, get a chalk bag. That chalk bag is a game changer for wearing a backpack. Particularly when you're wearing a backpack for hours and hours and hours and hours and you have to get to stuff. Really makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to pop my backpack up. I'll show you a couple of other things first. So my backpack, if my camera will behave itself. So those little bungee cords, I have them through the loops of my backpack. They're holding on my hiking pole bag. I've got them wrapped. And then they're cinched down and wrapped around. They're very stable. They're not going to go anywhere. This backpack doesn't have. It's got pole loops, but really nowhere that I feel safe throwing my good hiking poles on, particularly for going through the airport or on the train or something. So this, or a day I'm on the Meseta or whatever, where wouldn't use poles. This is a fantastic way to secure these things. These also work really well for if you loop them through things like if you've got a wet t-shirt or something, you can just cinch it down with a little barrel lock, let it flap around in the wind. It's going to dry. They work really, really nicely. So consider some of those. I've got a couple of other, look, a concha. I've got a couple other little carabiners and stuff, but it's all about raw. It's 10 pounds. It's all about making sure that your stuff is personalized to you and how you're going to use it. So let's have a little pretend game. Let's say we're walking up to the albergue together. And we get our bunk assignment. We go in. Actually, before we even go, in the top of my bag, the very first thing, without looking, I'm going to reach down and grab my sandals. We go to the boot room, put on our sandals, leave our boots with the insoles elevated slightly to let air get in there, because damn. So I've got my sandals in my little sandal keeper. Those bags, those colorful bags, work great for this. Deuter doesn't make these anymore. They made shoe garages. They don't make them anymore, of course. So we do that. I jam the cover into the front of the backpack after I get my shoes out, so it's there when I go to pack, when I put on my boots tomorrow. So after that, we get to our bunks. Drop the backpack close to the bunk, and Now, some albergues, they will assign you a bunk number. Some they will not. How do you claim a bunk? If there's stuff on the bunk, it ain't yours. If your number is on it and they told you to take that one and there's stuff on it, don't get all up in the face of that pilgrim. It's a misunderstanding. Go down and talk to the hospitalera. Say, hey, somebody's in that bunk. I need another number, blah, blah, blah. If it's unassigned bunks, if somebody's stuff is on that bunk, whether you want it or not, don't touch their stuff. How do you claim that bunk for yourself? Reaching into my backpack, I grab my arrival bag. So this is my charger, my sleep sack, my earplugs, all that stuff. That, good Lord, there's actually a battery in there, sorry. So that I chuck on the bed, that's mine now. If I put my backpack in the locker to go take care of something, that bag being there signifies that is my bunk for now. So let's just say we got that. Now it's time to go take a shower. Reach into my backpack. I pull out my clothing bag and my shower bag, which are clipped together. I can walk right to the shower now. I've got everything I need in here. When I get to the shower room, wearing my sandals, because I don't want nobody wants athlete's foot on the Camino. We'll go through a little more in depth how to deal with shower rooms and stuff. But in here I have a suction cup. If there are not hooks on the walls of the shower, I will put the suction cup on, hang my shower kit, unmurl my shower kit. Everything's in there, has what I need. So here's where my organization gets a little ADD, but I can't express to you how much more pleasant this makes the experience, particularly in the shower. So my clothing bag. What's in this clothing bag besides clothing? So we've walked into the shower. We've got our neatly organized stuff. We did not bring a cup of coffee with us, which is a real shame because shower coffee, really nice. So we're going to walk in, open this, clip it on to our suction cup. In the top of my bag is my laundry bag. I take the laundry bag out, I put it on the hook, I get rid of all my dirty clothes, it goes in the laundry bag, just kind of hangs there. Next under that is my travel towel. Travel towel goes on the hook. From there down is, I will seal my bag, I'll do my shower duties, undo the bag again to keep the water out. My underwear is first, my shorts are second, t-shirt third, socks and stuff, extra stuff are down below. Why is that important? Because the shower rooms are going to be soaking wet, and there's probably not a place to sit. There's not a place to lay your stuff out. So having it arranged by the order you're going to put it on, so you're not trying to flap around a bunch of stuff and go, oh, well, my socks are on top, my underwear is way down here, my shorts, my t-shirt, okay, I'm trying to throw things over. So just have it in the correct order. That way, you don't get wet, you're ready to go, you roll everything back, you throw it in. When then we take a nap, we go get a calimocho, whatever we're going to do. Afterwards, after we've done our laundry, we then pack this thing in the reverse order again with our socks at the bottom, the shorts or t-shirts, whatever order you put them in, your underwear, your travel towel, your laundry bag. The next day, it's rinse and repeat. If I get here and I'm packing this stuff and I realize, hang on, my laundry bag goes on top. Where's my laundry bag? It's in the laundry, because sometimes they'll keep your laundry bag because they're doing a lot of laundry. Cut them some slack. So you go down, you get your laundry bag, you put it back in. I know it sounds crazy, but when you're dealing with an albergue, I've really exaggerated the size of the one in Roncesvalles. The albergue in Roncesvalles, I think they peak out about 200, maybe 250 pilgrims during the summer. You've got multiple floors. You've got those nice people are trying to do laundry for everybody. You got a line of 30 to 40 people standing in line waiting to get into the showers. The faster you can get in and get out, the better it is for everybody. And if you're 30th in line, that shower room, that cubicle, everything, it's going to be a nightmare of... it's going to be very wet and very weird. So just, be prepared for that. So organizing your stuff just makes it easier. So take that extra little bit of time. I know it's very ADD, but as I said multiple times in this video, the less thought you can take out of the little things, the more thought you have to devote to the bigger things, like everything's closed and I can't find a restaurant, or wow, I have no idea where to stay today because I didn't pre-register. I hope I can find a place. So just make it a little easier on yourself. I think we covered all that stuff. I'm not going to go much further. Let's talk about my favorite place. So this is an albergue. I haven't done an albergue in a while. It's in a little village, a really interesting village called Castro Heriz. It's on the Meseta. There's lots of albergues to choose from. It's interesting. It wraps around the south side of a big hill with a castle at the top. It's kind of neat. You can walk up there if you want. It's ruins. There's not a whole lot up there, but the view is really cool. And then the way out of Castro Heriz is a walk across some plains, and then this really abrupt ridge that takes about, 45 minutes to climb. It's really neat. But anyway, the albergue is called Albergue Orion. And from what I understand, I have not met the owners in all the times I've stayed there. I believe the wife is from Korea, and if I remember correctly, the husband is American, the wife is Korean. They fell in love with everything and each other. They opened this albergue. They have private rooms. They have bunk rooms, really nicely laid out. But they have, for their communal meal, is something called bibimbap. If you haven't tried it, it looks like that. It is a bowl with rice and veggies and meats and all sorts of good stuff. It comes with sauces and a fried egg you can throw on top if you're into that. You mix it all together. They've got some hot sauces, gochujang, and I think I usually carry my own gochugaru, which is a powdered version of the pepper. So great stuff. They're fantastic people. When you get there in the afternoon, they will, if you want some snackos, they'll make you sushi. I mean, not high-end like tuna sushi, but you can get a California roll or almost a futomaki roll. They have lots of Korean snackos. They have a delightful Korean drink called sochu. If you haven't run into it, it comes in many flavors. It's a distilled product that is diluted down to, or proofed down to, like 14 to 16%. So it's like wine. But they add fruit flavors to it. Fantastic stuff. I usually get a little bottle of that and then a bottle of beer or a mug of beer to go with it. It's just one of my favorite after walks. Great people. I found out about it from a buddy of mine from 2017 from Ireland named Liam, who we met. He ended up, after his first Camino, he had a great time. He went back in 2019 or 2019. I can't really remember. And he did a fundraiser for his school. He works at the time worked at a special needs school as an educator. He started a fundraiser where people would pledge a certain amount per kilometer that he walked. He started walking from his home in Liverpool, walked to the coast, took a ferry over to England proper, walked all the way down to, I think, Southampton, and then took the ferry from Southampton to somewhere in the Pas de Calais or over in Brittany, maybe Saint-Malo, and then walked all the way through France, and then walked through Spain, and he met these fantastic people at Albergue Orion, ended up staying and working, going back and working there for, I think, another 4 or 5 months. Great guy, great place, great people. They're going to take fantastic care of you there. They'll even take care of your laundry for you. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, if you get the chance, please stay there. Albergue Orion. You will not regret it. They have a great outdoor courtyard. You can take your Drinkos out and your snacks and just hang out in the sun and have a wonderful time. So next week, yeah, we're going to talk about getting to Spain, getting to the start of your Camino. We're going to talk about hunting flights. What's the best way to handle your flights? We've just got over the government shutdown here in the U.S. If you were watching the news, you saw that there were delays after delays after delays and reduced traffic patterns and such. These things happen. If you've watched my second Camino on my second video on my first Camino, you'll know that we had a very, very tight layover in Chicago. We only had about an hour and a half flying from Kansas City to Chicago, Chicago to Charlotte, Charlotte to Paris. Our flight from Kansas City got delayed for better part of an hour. So when we got to Chicago, we had to run. Luckily, it was in the domestic terminal, but Donna and I ran to the terminal, through the terminal, to get to our seat or get to our place, get to our gate. We were delayed due to weather getting into Charlotte, and from Charlotte, where we were meeting our friend Fernando, we only had, like, instead of 2 hours or whatever it was, another hour and a half, 2 hour layover. We only had like 20 minutes to get across in Charlotte, which is a big airport, from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. And we literally had a gate person called ahead and they cleared a path. And when we got to the international terminal, there was a flight attendant from Air France who was standing outside of the duty-free shopping area, and she was just sitting there on her phone, and she saw us running with our backpacks, and she just started snapping her fingers. She goes, you, this way, don't go that way, this way, Overton, blah, 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 come this way. Took us through the duty-free, around some back of like service areas, and then we were at the gate, and then we had like 30 minutes to wait because the plane was delayed again. So anyway, so we're going to talk about reasonable lengths of time for layovers, and trust me, it's better to have 4 to 5 hours of sitting around an airport being bored than 20 minutes of sprinting across an airport, not knowing if you're going to make your flight before it leaves, and then suddenly your Camino is just a crap show from the first day. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about trains. Great little surprise. Right after Clyde went, I was to his Ingles a few months ago. I was looking around on Trainline, the app I've talked about before. We're going to talk about it again. The train that goes from the commuter trains that go from Madrid airport to San Martin or Atocha. You can get those tickets on Trainline, so you can pre-buy it just before you leave, or once you get there. You've got the code on your phone. You can validate it right on your phone. It makes it so much easier now. So we'll talk about that stuff. And some other things, like how to get to, if you're flying into Brits, Bayonne, or Pamplona, or Madrid, then Pamplona, how do we get to Sanjin or wherever else we're going to start from? We'll cover those as well. So it'll be a bit of a long one, but I'll try to organize it a little better than usual, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to go watch the guys build my house a little bit, and it's 10:30, so probably about 1 o'clock. I have to go clean a chicken coop. I have to do my fall deep cleaning, and I've got better part of 20 chickens out there, so it is a mess, and I'm not going to like it. So living on a farm, that's what it is. I hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you next week. Looking forward to next week. Strangely, planning all the travel is one of my favorite parts of this stuff. I love airports. I love airplanes. I love trains. I love everything about the actual travel experience. I could be very happy just flying airport to airport and hanging out. The technology of an airport fascinates me for some reason. Because anymore, they're just shopping malls that airplanes park at, which is just awesome. So anyway, enough of me. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.